Jock, he stole my wife. Can you arrest him?
Sometimes it's better just to accept these things.
Batman, batarang, pipe bombs, utility belt.
Utility belt.
Green Arrow has a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Why do you need all those?
I'm making up my own superhero. He needs a weapon. That'll do.
Cool.
All it takes to be a superhero is the choice to fight evil. Shut up, crime.
So knee-deep into South by Southwest 2011. 2011, however you want to say it, and we've seen
the future.
Yeah, is it the
2011?
But we have seen plenty of films so far, a handful of plenty for us, you know, in our busy schedules. But one that
how lazy we are.
Exactly, you know, it takes a lot for us to get up our ass and go see another movie, especially movies that they're going on all day long.
I
man.
gotta see movies all the damn time.
I live, breathe,
more movies.
See, every time y'all do that, there's plenty of people going like, "Oh, man, your life is so hard. I wish I got paid to see movies all day long."
You know what? I love it when people say that. I love it because then I go, "You can do it. You can totally do it. You can go and see movies all day long. It's really easy to get in that position to do it." To keep doing it for a couple of years is a whole different story. Yeah, you talk about us at like what? How long are we now? Like 12 years or something?
He probably longer. Me, I've been doing it damn near 20, man.
Yeah,
15, something like that, and it wears on you.
Look, you do enough of something, it'll kill you. All right, that's the bottom line.
It taxes that ass.
Yeah,
I tell you right there.
but don't get me wrong, we still love it, but there is a point of saturation. South by Southwest can be that point.
Well, the thing with South by Southwest is that, listen, you go to see a movie and we don't, just like any other film, we don't know what it's going to be like. Now, some of these other films that we see outside of a festival setting, these are movies that we have to see because we got to put reviews up every week. We don't really have to see everything. We won't see everything in South by Southwest, but even those things that we kind of want to see or feel like we need to see, it could be a crapshoot. You don't know what it's going to be like. You could probably listen to people and talking about it, or you could probably like wait for some kind of rumor to spread around about it. But in this case, I was riding off of the word of my man Leon over here.
Right.
Now, he said, you got to go see this movie called Super. Now, anybody who knows Leon got a weak spot for the superheroes. And to this day, he don't know what he's telling you to go see a superhero movie, if it's good or if it's just Leon.
He only colored them in for I don't know how many years. But
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, when he came back raving about Ghost Rider, we were like, "Oh man,
fuck you! I did not.
Oh,
Let him start that.
Spawn was so good, man.
Elektra, we were like, "All right, it didn't look like it was going to be good, but I guess I'll give it a shot."
Oh, when he still got that Daredevil poster on his wall. He don't take down. I'm like, damn, man.
Enough.
You were the one that liked Batman and Robin, right?
No, I don't nobody like
No, I
Batman.
remember you the one that was angry about it. You were the one. Wow, when you came out of Batman and Robin,
Dude,
you were
furious.
livid, man.
Yeah,
Now,
I
even
was.
when you watch the riff tracks of that, there's a point towards the last 30 minutes that they don't even say anything. They're just like, what can we say that this movie doesn't make fun of it?
They're probably sorry that they started it because it meant they had to watch the movie again.
Exactly.
Like, what can we say that Leon hasn't said already about this movie?
Well, let's not get into Holly Berry's Catwoman. That's a whole other story.
Somebody told Leon his house had burned down when he got the movie. It's like, fuck that, man. Did you see this film, Batman and Robin? That's a real tragedy right there. But so when I heard about this movie, and see, the thing is, you look at this and you think to yourself, I've seen this movie already. Because I'm gonna see if I can like sum it up real quick, and you guys gonna elaborate.
It's called Super, by the way. We haven't even said that.
we did say Super. Yeah, we said that. Yeah, we did say that. Now some people probably waiting for like, super what? It's like, no, it's just super. Yeah.
Super duper.
See, no, not duper. Not
Just
pooper.
super.
Just, not man, just super, And so listen to the plot of this film. It sounds similar to what you've probably seen already before, maybe in a couple of movies. There's a guy. He's kind of a loser, but for some reason he manages to get this fine ass wife. The guy's played by Rainn Wilson. You've seen him on The Office. Geeky looking guy.
Yeah.
He kind of he's tall.
odd looking. Very
he's
tall.
odd looking. He's tall but he's nerdy. He's got a lurch thing going on.
He looks like a grown baby with glasses.
He does. He does. It look like everything grew on him except his face.
Even as
With Frankenstein's body.
Even as a successful celebrity, like if you were to go, no, this is Rainn Wilson playing this role, he would not end up with Liv Tyler, which he doesn't. You're like, no, dude, I'm sorry, I don't care. You're the most successful comedy actor on earth. You're still not going to get Liv Tyler.
No, the thing you notice about this guy, a lot of people say, man, being tall is great. In his case, it probably is, because that way you won't be able to see that face up close. No, he ain't that bad.
He ain't that
No,
bad.
he's not that bad. But he plays his character so well that it's easy to probably confuse him like that in real life. And he gets he gets typecast like that a lot.
But he's a fantastic character actor.
He is.
Who, unlike a Seth Rogen or a Jack Black, is able to play different dimensions of those type of characters.
Which you never get to see. I mean, I haven't seen too many of his other films that he's done, but with this one, I mean, he really did shine as like where this movie told me he's a good actor.
Well, the reason why you have so much heart for him in this movie is because his wife, you can't really say was kidnapped by a drug dealer, but she's a recovering addict, and she falls under the persuasion of a thuggish drug dealer played by Kevin Bacon.
A very sleazy,
nasty, slimy boy.
I think he had a snake's tongue the whole time.
I'm talking about like if slime had diarrhea.
And the thing is, he's the kind of guy who'll take your woman and come over and eat your food, give you a compliment, but laugh about it too.
Yeah. Before you know it, you're cooking him dinner.
When he just first shows up and you see his outfit, you know he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Anybody in a snakeskin jacket is just
you're
bad.
pretty much. Unless it's Wild at Heart. Pretty much.
Like any nerd or geek or a guy who's not very attractive and knows that he's never going to get anything as fine as this ever again in his life, he loses his fucking mind. I mean, he's kind of disturbed before, but for some reason, you know how women are, especially when they're recovering addicts or have a little bit of the booze in them or something. They fall for the wrong guy, whether it be for a sleazeball or just a mentally ill guy like this guy.
Or Corey.
In my case, all of the above. Choose D in my situation.
Hey, Corey does regularly hang out at AA meetings with cigarettes.
So,
just to pick up
that's the
women.
way to do it. Originally, he just wanted to join a fight club, but then he was like, man, this is an untapped resource for crazy pussy.
Fighting for that ass is what I'm doing. I told you, I was joking about that the other day. AA, Planned Parenthood, wherever there's a disturbed chick emerging from the doors, I am there to help them. But so
divorce counseling.
And boy, all that stuff, man. I'm buying Girl Scout cookies waiting for them to turn legal. And now if I buy these, will you wait for me in 5 years? But so
you might want to edit that out.
People, come on.
Remember the Addams Family premiere when that came out way back when?
I said they would wait. I'm waiting for them to be legal. I didn't do anything wrong here.
I just love watching this. I just need to sit back and watch this all
it's
play
funny
out.
because sorry, you bring up the Addams Family movie. I remember at the time when Christina Ricci was like 13 years old, and Corey started dating a girl that looked like hers right after that.
It's like, oh, gladly,
dude, you're so transparent. Come on,
maybe Friday for a Wednesday today.
You know what?
Oh my God,
that was pretty good.
I was gonna argue with you on that. I was like, oh, he's joking, but like, oh, well,
You
that really
remember
did
it?
happen. I remember that all too well. But then she
was disturbed.
And she was disturbed. But
Just your type.
yeah, perfect for me. So, but the one thing I did not do, first of all, I did not keep these girls around. I kind of told them to go. So, and even if I did lose them, I would not do what this guy does. He feels like he's getting touched by the finger of God. He has a vision one night that he has a greater calling. And that calling says to dress up like a superhero, which after he sees a Christian superhero on TV, he's like, that guy's talking to me.
Which
Nathan Fillion.
And Nathan Fillion as the Christian hero.
It's like he turns on TV and Bible Man is on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
decides that's my destiny.
Which I've always been like wondering, like, Cyrus, what is your problem with God? I mean, is it somebody holding a mirror up to you and you just don't ever want to look?
God doesn't have a cool superhero costume.
He's got the powers.
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the costume.
You don't have a cape. That's what God's problem is. But yeah, this
You get that God, you get a cape.
you know,
You're telling me
See,
that
now people are going to send me links to Christian superhero comics, and we know how bad those
I
are.
hope they do so bad, man.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's looking at this Christian superhero on TV, gets a vision at night that the God, peels his skull back, touches him with his finger, giving him great inspiration. So that very next day, he makes just a little makeshift superhero costume. Throughout the story, we've also discovered that he needs a weapon, gets a wrench, and just goes out and starts beating the shit out of
Yeah,
people.
he becomes the Crimson Bolt.
The Crimson Bolt.
And
He's
the Crimson Bolt is all about fighting, looking crime in the face and saying, "Shut up, crime."
Shut up, crime. But you're thinking like, oh, well, that's cool. We need some people like that out there to go out and do that. The problem is he's beating the fuck out of anybody who breaks a rule. I mean, he'll beat the shit out of you for jaywalking. There's a guy who who cuts in line, or in this movie they say butts in line. He gets pissed. He's like, no butts, and he beats the shit out this
Yeah.
guy.
Hey,
for butting
no,
in line.
he was right for that.
No,
you can let a couple of child molesters slide.
Right.
Button in
Because
line?
maybe
Yeah.
the girl was asking for it.
And the best-
but cutting in a movie line, that's bullshit.
And the best part about that scene was that I swear to God, waiting in line for that movie, I saw quite a few people do that.
Oh, really?
And I was just like, wow, I hope somebody's really paying attention right now. Like this is the fucking consequence of you pulling that shit all the time
During the screening,
in front of people
right
or
in front of
robots
me,
like
there
me.
was a guy whose phone was on the entire fucking movie, who was just checking his phone, and he was holding it up in front of his face. It was
Fuck.
like at head level. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Even worse, he had the message incoming blinking light
Oh,
that just was
Jesus.
blinking through the whole thing, and I was like, is no one gonna bash this guy on the head with a wrench?
Yeah.
I can't believe the guy doesn't even see
Damn.
the irony that he's sitting there being a
Exactly.
complete fucking
and
douche.
Rainn Wilson was there
douche.
that night. He should have just done it.
Oh,
Should have
wow.
totally done it.
They should have had that fucking scene in the movie. Now when I think about it, I mean that would have been even more epic.
But like I was telling you, Cyrus, had you busted him in the head with a wrench, you'd have got away with it. 'Cause
I
everybody would have
totally
just laughed. Figured
Everybody would have applauded.
Yeah.
They would have loved to see it, and they would just figure like, oh, it's publicity for the movie.
Part of the show, yeah. Right.
Why you tiptoe on out of there?
Yeah, you might be right that they thought it was publicity, but here's the difference between this movie and real life.
Oh.
Is that he would have lasted 5 minutes before he went to jail. And he should have gone to jail, because this is not, if you re-edited this film, you could make it almost a horror film.
Oh.
Because this is the story of a completely really seriously disturbed guy who, and I guess this is my problem with the film as opposed to you guys, who is not sympathetic at all. I'm like, you know what? You hooked up with a crazy bitch in the first place, and you got engaged to her like what, 2 weeks after you met? I mean, you're crazy. She is a total fuck up. What is it about you that we're really supposed to like? And then you go out and start bashing people over the skull for butting in line. I'm like,
No, I don't think he's necessarily. You know what? He is that disturbed character. He's a dangerous, disturbed character who's having a psychotic moment to have the hand of God touch him.
psychotic month.
Yeah, I mean, but a psychotic break. I meant, but it's not like he's not really sympathetic. I think until he has what was one of my favorite moments where he starts crying and praying to God, and Rainn Wilson just lets it all hang out. I mean, one of the things I most love about this movie is that him and Ellen Page, who's comes in as his sidekick later on, and she's just as psychotic as him, but they really go balls to the wall with the acting. And that scene where he's crying, it's like you start laughing at first, but then he really he slams it to where, man, I felt such sympathy because the guy was like at the depths of despair.
No, you're right. That's when it turns around and starts to go, okay, maybe there is something to this guy. But what really turns it around is Ellen Page.
Yeah.
Who before the film it's literally coasting on just Rainn Wilson
Right.
for the first 40 minutes of the film. And then when she's introduced, is basically like,
Well, she's like some hipster chick who's just kind of like into comics.
fantasy prone girl with ADD,
Yeah.
and no concept, maybe even a little bit of a sociopath, because she really doesn't have a real concept of what's right and what's wrong. She just wants to do what they do in the comics. And she sees this guy, the Crimson Bolt, who's actually doing it, and she's like, you're awesome. Let's go beat the shit out of some motherfucker.
Like I get what you're saying as far as Rainn Wilson's character, as far as at first he seems like obviously he is nuts, but I like the fact that when they introduce Ellen Page's character, and it's like he starts to see himself like for what he really is, which is what he doesn't want to be. Especially when she really she goes like 11 when she fucking goes and whips ass. Like she's there to fucking kill and maim people.
No, she's a complete murderous sociopath.
She's a nutcase.
She is a nutcase, and that's what I like about. See, I don't see this as it's a combination of a lot of things. It is sympathy, but you also realize that this is a very dark comedy. James Gunn described this as a very dark comedy himself. James Gunn is the guy who directed this film. He also directed Slither, and he has a history in trauma films.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see that
he did
that
Romeo
violent,
and Juliet.
that violent satire and parody done that he did with Trauma brought to this film. Except that this movie for me is stuff that because he did Romeo and Juliet, right? And this is like a trauma film that has honed in its craziness and actually made something that's kind of poignant.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that was kind of the cool. That was kind of the cool aspect about this film is that it definitely he seemed like he really went back to his roots as far as just his Troma filmmaking. And all he left out was like the horrible acting, which is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, it had the same sensibilities of those films that I really loved about Troma films, where I was like, yeah, these guys, there is no line for them. And with this film, yeah, there's still no line, but they bring it back down to a sense of reality, especially when Ellen Page and, Rainn Wilson's character, when they're reacting with each other. You don't really see them as, or at least Rainn Wilson's character is completely crazy, which could make you just, not care about that character after a while.
Right.
But, just watching these two go at it, and especially like at the end of the film, I mean, when you see like how, okay, well, this is something, as far as if you want to really base it in reality, this is what happens in this type of situation, and they really play that out really well to where you're just like going, oh, fuck,
See,
this
that's
is
what
like,
I loved
this is the
about
reality
this.
of it. Yeah.
It took the elements of two movies that I thought had some flaws, but brought the best parts of those together for me in this movie. Those two movies would be, if you couldn't tell already, the obvious one is Kick-Ass.
Damn, I thought we could get through the whole review.
Well, no, but I mean, you can. I mean,
No, I know.
And it's kind of a combination of the craziness of Kick-Ass, but with the disturbed realism of something like Special. You remember that movie?
I never
who was
got
the
to see
guy in
Special. Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport.
It's
Yeah,
funny,
you never saw Special?
I never got to see it.
No, it's good. I like Special.
Yeah,
I was about to say I'd never seen Special, but I kept thinking about Falling Down, the Michael Douglas film.
Well, Special is almost like the delusional superhero version of Falling Down. And see, with this movie, now I was remembering what you were saying. I was like, yeah, at the beginning, I was like, man, I'm really not liking Rainn Wilson because he is disturbed, he's dangerous. And when he picks up his sidekick, Ellen Page, who plays what do they call her?
Bolty.
Bolty,
Yeah.
the sidekick. I mean, she's like 22 and still want to be a kid sidekick. And she's like, well, compared to you, I still am a kid. He's like, whatever, But
So what do you think?
Cartwheels.
Well, you see what I'm getting at here.
No.
Batman had Robin. The original Human Torch had Toro. The Flash had Kid Flash. I could be your kid's sidekick.
How old are you?
Well, I'm 22, But compared to you, I'm a kid, right?
I guess.
Right. Now, look, the most important thing, obviously, is the name. All right? Now, you got to think of it like how it sounds with the Crimson Bolt, all right? So, okay. The Crimson Bolt and Bolt Girl. The Crimson Bolt and Kid Crimson. The Crimson Bolt and the Creeping Bam.
What's a creeping bam?
What's a Toro?
he takes her on, and she is more murderous than he ever can be. And
Well, when you said earlier, or I think it was you who said earlier, that she at first shows him like, God, you are crazy. And he sees that and goes, Jesus. But then he buys into it. Anyway, she encourages his own insanity to a point where it crescendos into the brutal,
it is
bloody finale.
It is so that toxic relationship of
Yeah.
two people getting together who have bad personality traits. And they don't cancel each other out. They just make each other worse.
well, the
feed on
difference
each
is
other,
it
yeah.
starts out as Rainn Wilson going around and just randomly beating the shit out of people.
He's got his own code of why he does it. That's the thing. If it was random, you would have no sympathy.
Well, it's
for him.
random in the sense that there's varying degrees of how you should beat people.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
defines
yeah.
his morality on the fly.
Yeah,
to be fair.
And that's how that warped
yes.
reality. That's how that warped morality works. In his mind, he's thinking like, there are rules, you don't break them. All right, if I catch you just stealing a piece of bubble gum, I'm beating the fuck out of you. But his intent becomes a little more focused. Where when Ellen Page gets brought in, she just wants to go out and just kill. I mean, this girl, she's a murderer in the making, and this is her, I guess her gate drug right here.
Yeah, gateway. Yeah,
gateway drug. And so I did not like these two people as it went on, but as Rainn Wilson began to focus more on, okay, I know what I have to do. My mission now is just to go after these bad guys. I can see where I'm being probably, not harming myself and other people, but also harming my sidekick. But she's just so crazy and all. And what I'm leading up to here is that it all leads up to this ending where it doesn't go that ridiculous route of, oh, we've kicked off a whole new world, a trend of superheroes, or I'm going to be back for another day.
Yeah,
No,
nobody goes to get a jetpack out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, it plays out like, okay, yeah, this is not a very happy story, and this is what happens to people who are crazy. Now, my biggest flaw with that is that you are right. Listen, it still does that thing of not, when people go out and randomly like commit these acts of violence, and the police are they're nowhere to be found except when they conveniently fit into the story.
Yeah, I know CSI is exaggerated, but they're not that exaggerated. Leaving DNA everywhere will indeed get you busted for multiple
Or changing
murders.
you to your costume out in broad daylight in a car where people can see you in your underwear and then coming out and the police can't find you. Or driving off in a
around
car.
everywhere with your car
With
and
license
your
plates.
license plate.
Even though I thought that was like the funnier thing about the movie, where this guy's like in plain daylight, and everyone who sees him knows exactly who he is. As soon as they see him in the mask, they're like,
Yeah.
"I know this guy." You know? And it was funny to see how the movie just played with that, where they let you know, yeah, I mean, people aren't stupid in this world, but at the same time, we can't afford to get cops to be on this.
And so that's its one delving into complete fantasy that did bug me, because the rest of the film they're going, this is what would really happen if crazy people did this. But then at the end, they had to crowbar in a somewhat happy ending that made no sense in the context.
thought that was a
of
happy
everything.
ending?
It was as happy as it could be,
See, you know
without
what?
being completely tricky.
I got to say, my favorite endings are the ones that are bittersweet, where it's like, it's a happy ending until you really look at it, and it's like, well, not really. It's happier than it could have been.
No, James Gunn's script is smarter than what we probably see on the surface here. It is not a happy ending at all.
No.
Being that it's the ending, you can't really say it's one of those endings. To me, okay, it's not the gravity of something like Let Me In or Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to choose.
Whichever.
Yeah, whichever one. One's English, one's fucking some yaya language. But you walk.
Yaya language. Meanwhile, there goes all the Swedish fans.
Great.
Yaya language. I'm out of here.
You know how
No
I
more
am.
Amsterdam trip.
But the good thing they speak English over there. But I walk out of this. The more I think about it, the more disturbed and heartbroken I am from that ending. It leaves me feeling cold, and I like that about it.
Well, you care about that character. I mean, you really see his journey, that's what it is. It's a journey film for this character, as far as someone who is a little disturbed but not that crazy, almost like if Travis Bickle decided to put on a superhero outfit.
You're right.
I mean,
Yes.
it really is, and the way it played out, it was just like it just seemed like no perfect for me, and I mean. It's one of those movies where I'm like, well, wow. It's like after Kick-Ass in this film, where else can you take this now? I mean, it seems like they've taken that movie of an ordinary man trying to be a superhero in an ordinary world. They've taken it to its logical conclusion.
Hopefully nowhere. Hopefully there's a point where you go, you know what? We need at least a 10-year break before someone tries to make one of these.
Well, next it'll be a documentary on the death of Phoenix Jones.
Yeah, probably.
Right,
My man Phoenix Jones,
I know,
boy.
right? If Phoenix Jones can only take some notes to just make his story a little bit more interesting, for you to keep checking in on him
I
every
saw
year or so.
Some photos of Rainn Wilson and James Gunn talking to Phoenix Jones at Comic-Con. And I was just hoping, hopefully they sat him down and said, look, dude, watch this, please.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, Phoenix Jones. He's gonna get a wrench upside his head after a
Oh,
while.
I'm sure Phoenix Jones is probably after seeing Ellen Page in this film. Phoenix Jones was like, "I need to get a fucking sidekick. I really do. A female sidekick. I
in
really
bright colors
need to."
draw
Oh my
attention and
God.
fire away from me.
Because you know what? I never thought that Ellen Page was all that attractive. I mean, now that I look at her, I always think of her as
Yeah,
like.
there's that one scene.
I honestly look at her as a female, like Justin Bieber. If Justin Bieber was a girl, that's Ellen Page for me now. But I swear to God, there's a scene where she's wearing her costume and just getting really like sexing it up. And I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? What is happening? What is happening to me right now? Yeah, I know. Oh my God. Can I Photoshop Justin Bieber in a Robin's outfit, please? Yeah. Oh my God.
While he's hot.
I know.
Man, man. Speaking of being on fire, man, Kevin Bacon, boy, this movie was made for $2 million. All the actors were on scale when they made this movie. That means like you get somebody like Liv Tyler or Kevin Bacon, they get a multi-million-dollar paycheck for a film.
And Kevin Bacon needs it right now.
They get who?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, he needs some more fucking Botox or something going on.
Well, I mean, he got ripped off by Bernie Madoff.
Oh, he was. Oh, him and Spielberg and all those people.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
in the.
but Kevin Bacon probably more than anybody.
Yeah, well, no wonder he took this cheap ass movie there. $7,000. I'll take it, man.
Well,
you know what? I was going to say, he delivered probably like his best performance I've seen in a really long time.
Almost everybody in the movie did. I mean, Ellen Page, I never thought she had that in her. I was just like, found her like, only moderately attractive maybe. And as acting goes, I was like, okay, she's done some good work, but I can never see her really stretching like she did here. I was blown away by her.
Well, these actors, they get about $7 to $10,000 for this movie out of the paycheck they normally receive, and they get maybe a few points of ownership in the movie, and yet they come out in this, and these are people who want to make the movie. That's why they took the pay cut. And it's funny. It's like, damn, because it's a dark film, they got in there and they acted their asses off. Everybody is so good in this. Liv Tyler, I've never seen this kind of range in her before.
No, she was great. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said nowadays with just the way that we're all so media conscious, our society, of going, you know what, a celebrity who only does big movies is kind of despicable quickly.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, all they do is the big summer films or whatever. But somebody who actually goes and takes the little films, the little daring films, who puts themselves out there, man, that wins so many points in general public opinion. That gives them that brings more audiences in to see their bigger movies. You know? You go, Liv Tyler, I didn't really thought much of her, but shit, she was in Super. I want to see what she does next.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that kind of, at least with these actors, and this has nothing pertaining to the film, but it's just like, seeing that actors can read a script and really fall so in love with it to where they're going to people they know to cash in favors to get something like this made is awesome, because you're basically telling me Liv Tyler wanted to make a trauma film. And she wanted to make a trauma film work, and she did. She pulled the strings to make this film happen. I mean, this whole movie wouldn't have been made if it hadn't been for Liv Tyler, apparently.
Somewhere the trauma guy's like, yes, yes,
Toxic Avenger 5,
waiting by his phone for Tom Cruise to call.
Lloyd Kaufman there, he's still waiting.
Who makes a cameo in the movie?
He does that. Lloyd Kaufman does make a cameo.
I was looking at some of the stuff that James Gunn had done. I mean, he directed that really underappreciated horror movie Slither.
I love Slither. Yeah, and let's not forget he wrote Dawn of the Dead.
And PG Porn, the internet series. If you've ever seen that, goddamn funny series.
And he wrote one of your favorite films there, Cyrus, Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed.
Oh, fuck.
Come on.
All right, never mind. Fuck
Yeah, among 20 others.
That's right. Yeah.
How many people are credited as writing that?
That's
each person
true.
wrote a page.
Right.
I know.
No, you love it, man? Come on.
Except 3 of his sentences made it into the final cut.
Listen, I think he wrote the Scooby-Doo neutering scene that they cut out. Yeah.
But man, Kick-Ass, and I'll admit this now, Kick-Ass is one of those movies that I got caught up in the heat on at when we were at the Paramount watching it for, was it last year?
I think it was South by Southwest.
And I gave it a full price, and I only in retrospect did I realize how much criticism, because I did criticize the movie, even in review where I said, this movie ended up being what it was parodying. And I like the movie, but not as much as I even came across in that review, and not even as much as I liked it then. Special was a movie that I thought was interesting but kind of slow, but I really did like it. But this movie here, it had the heart and the realism that I wanted out of something, of somebody trying to be a real superhero movie. A person who was trying to be a real superhero in a movie. And I like this a lot, enough to give it a full price. That ending was so powerful to me. It's not one of the greatest endings ever made, but for a movie like this to come and bring it back to such an emotional state that they did, and by emotional I mean like whether you find the guy disturbing or not, there's still something like. There's still something pitiful about that character, and that really summed it up for me. I give it a full price.
Doesn't have to be the greatest ending ever made. It just has to be good. Once again, I agree with you 100%. Matter of fact, I was just kind of disappointed by Kick-Ass when I saw it, because I was a big fan of the comic, and it was all about a realistic person going out trying to be a superhero, and how brutal and bloody it could get, and it got really dark. And when I saw the movie, I'm like, well, it did that for a while, and then it just got kind of jokey, and it became what it was parodying.
That's a good point too. You got me into, actually, it was both of you got me into reading Kick-Ass, and I was a big fan of that comic, and I was just impressed at how well they captured the comic.
Sure.
But after seeing it live action, I was like, but it really doesn't.
Yeah, it just didn't. It didn't have that same grittiness or sense of danger. Yeah. Where this totally had that.
I still like that movie.
Well, I still like that movie too.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not begrudging you for liking it. I'm just telling you why.
Where's my wrench? Give me my wrench. Boom.
I'm just saying where it fell short for me, whereas this hit every note I wanted. I mean, not only it's like at times it's a quirky indie comedy, it's a great character study with some of the best acting I've seen in a long time. To go into and to be such a, like, I love dark comedies. It's probably my favorite types of movie, but this gets really dark. And even hearing, Cyrus said, like, I heard it's really dark. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. But I'm like, wow. This gets dark and all.
I said that to you, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I said, no, this gets pitch black.
Yeah,
dark.
no, it does. Its balls are out there. It goes for it. It's a very honest film. You know, these characters, they really dig down into what they're about, and it doesn't wink at the audience. I mean, there's some places like, sure, he's changing outside, and the people kind of notice, but the cops don't arrest him, which, you know, my experience with cops, they are just as incompetent in real life as they are in this movie.
And there goes the cop on it.
But you know what? I mean, for me personally, this worked on every single level I could have asked for. It's better than sex.
God damn.
Wow. Oh, okay. I was sitting up here like, okay, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I wish I could have
Praise.
gotten the energy and the excitement y'all did out of this. I mean, I wanted to. I really did, because I've loved everything except for Scooby-Doo that James Gunn has done before. I'm a
Quit
really
lying.
big fan and supporter of him. I mean, and so are a lot of people in Hollywood that I really respect, who are like, man, Gunn, I hardly wait to work with him on a project. I mean, people came out of the woodwork to get this film made, and I was champing at the bit to see this. But honestly, there's a point of dark comedy where it gets so black that I stop enjoying it. And I think that this is one of those films that did that for me. But it's weird that most films go there and I stop enjoying it. This one started there. And I started enjoying it more later. I was like, man, I hate this guy. I don't even care what happens. Fuck this nerd. You know, by the way, I'm a geek. He's a nerd.
You know you only hate it because you saw yourself in it.
No. Nerd over there, geek over here. Big difference. We're at war. So someday we'll destroy their Sauron and all will be fine. But, yeah, you know, it does get better as it goes along. I didn't like the epilogue so much, but I thought the big conclusion is spectacular. It's just like, wow, this is everything this movie was promising it was going to do. It lives up to. Even so, like I said, I never really got that sympathy. It's a matinee for me, but it's a matinee I think that I should encourage you to go find out for yourself.
You know, you made a good point there. Something we failed to mention, because I know you're about to get to your rating, co-host. I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I was just going to say before I forget that climax. There's a huge shootout at a mansion that, you know, for a movie of this budget was very impressive. Man, it was exciting.
It's more impressive than anything the Expendables ever did, but you know,
there goes the action.
No, man. But as far as like when you say a black comedy, no, this is like the Wesley Snipes of fucking like all out like completely real superhero films. I mean, this is like getting your teeth kicked in on the side of the curb as far as these films go. Where Kick-Ass, you know, as much as I love Kick-Ass, this is like pretty much a more honest, brutal version of that film.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved every single performance. I loved every single character. Kevin Bacon just fucking knocked it out of the fucking park. And like, if I only had any real flaw with it, it probably would have been Ellen Page going a little crazy until I realized, oh, this bitch is just fucking insane. So I throughout this whole thing, the more I think about the movie, the more I want to see it again, just to rewatch and reanalyze it again. And I have to admit, I mean, I was just going to give it a full price, but just talking about it here with you guys, I feel like I'm obligated to give it a better than sex. Just because.
Damn.
Just
what
because.
did you put on him?
I know. Just
But
because.
it's one like when you start to, because you know, it's one of those movies. There's so many movies we see, and it's like, you know, some are just forgettable right away, and some you like them, but you still kind of forget them. And this is one I just keep thinking back to over and over. There's so many scenes in it.
Just on the way here, I mean, it really, I just thought about it, and I have to admit, it's a great ending, but honestly, it has one of the greatest superhero speeches I've heard in a long time, since The Dark Knight, which like blew me away. Which I was thinking about it, and a line I was in today, somebody started quoting that entire speech, and I was like, that is like movie gold right there. And it's still blowing me away how powerful that speech was at the end of the film.
No,
but yeah, I mean, completely better than sex.
It's a
I
great
have no
small
problem.
movie, man. You know, it's like one of those movies that quietly went under the radar of Hollywood because it probably wouldn't get made the way it got made, and you know, there's
no way. With a big studio behind it, there's no way they would have taken chances like this. So many movies just don't take chances anymore, and they did nothing but take chances.
This would have had Tom Cruise in it if it had gone to a big studio. It would not have been that violent, and it would have had a super duper happy ending.
And I can easily say it's probably like one of the best comics that you will never read. I mean, honestly,
It is.
yeah.
And Rainn Wilson is, he gets a chance to show, again, we say range, but really, I mean,
He does.
This guy, there's scenes in this movie where I just want to hug him.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
When he goes off
It's
and beats
at
somebody
first-
to death.
At
You
first,
really
I'm
do.
laughing at him, and then going like, "Oh, this sick fuck." And then by the end of it, I just felt like crying, and giving him a hug.
Well, that's the
Like,
thing is that I love about that character. Is like there's one moment where I want to hug this guy. There's another moment I want to like, hey man, you need to stop, or you hurt somebody.
you need to calm
And then,
down.
Yeah, I just want to like talk to him. And then there's a moment where I just want to run from his ass, but he's stealing. You know?
Put the wrench down.
I stick with William S. Burroughs. He said, "Never proffer sympathy to the insane. It is a bottomless pit."
he said that right before he shot his wife.
I still sense the good in him.
and I love the animated opening.
Oh, those
What a
animated.
great animated opening
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I forgot what was the name of that company.
It
that
was
did that?
it was the same guys who did Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
forgot
wow.
the name of them. It was one word, but they
Yeah.
did an excellent opening credit sequence for them. I mean, that opening credit sequence is a little musical movie in itself.
Yeah,
It's
that was
amazing.
my favorite part of the entire
Well,
film.
it was like if
You
somebody,
son of a bitch.
I know what the hell.
It's like if somebody took the movie, like had to animate the movie, but the darkness was just too much for them that they could only do it
Yeah.
as just a big happy
I know,
rainbow
right?
cartoon.
Yeah.
It's the Nickelodeon version.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's man, you know,
Which is the point where we would throw in a word like juxtaposition if we were on our website, but we're not, so we'll just say that was awesome.
come on, we can all relate to that guy. We all have something that we beat somebody on the head with for a wrench for.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
People are here for telling me your problems.
Yeah, I know.
Another thing that that they do that I love is like show him and her going out on patrol, where a lot of it is just sitting around waiting for something to happen.
I can't believe they didn't even mention Batman. It's like, Batman, that's what he does with 90% of his time is just sit there. I mean, I'm sure he's got an iPod.
Well, he's got a cool ass car.
I think, at some point you just want to just make somebody guilty because you just want to hit somebody so bad just for being bored. That's what
Yeah.
Ellen Page is. Just like, I'm just bored. I'm just gonna go kill somebody.
I know. It's
Guilty.
like, yeah.
You look like you did something
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I know.
El Cabal.
It's almost like every cop I've ever encountered where they're like, what are you doing walking over here? I'm just, shut up!
Shut up, crime! Face the wrath of the Crimson Bolt!